What's up everybody, GenExDividendInvestor here. I saw a comment on my Dividend Discord where someone said that their portfolio is going up or down hundreds of dollars a day, and they asked, when you have a much larger portfolio, how much change can you see in a day? It was an interesting question, as it told me that people are at various stages of their investment journey, and things that might be obvious to some are not obvious to others. So in this video I'm going to show how my dividend portfolio did today, Friday, March 5th, 2021, which was a relatively good day in the markets, just like I've shown multiple videos in the past when I've had bad days. For example, I did a video called Portfolio Down $50,000 today and Why I Don't Sell, because I think it's important to show both up days and down days, as that's the reality of investing. I also have had a plethora of people comment that they find these types of videos inspiring to their investing journey, so that's another catalyst for me. So in this video I'll show you my dividend portfolio using my dividend spreadsheet that my Patreon Aristocrats and Kings use as a monthly service. I like to use my dividend spreadsheet in these videos because I found that it does a better job showing my positions than my brokerage. For those of you that might feel like I'm some rando on YouTube who's lying about having a multi-million-dollar dividend portfolio, then feel free to take a gander at a recent video I did called Watch Me Buy $450,000 of Dividend Stocks, where I show you my dividend portfolios in detail in E-Trade. Also, it's important to realize that there will always be people with larger portfolios than you and people with smaller portfolios than you. That doesn't matter at all. What matters is if you're taking actions today to better yourself. That's it. Honestly, it's far more impressive to me if you're working as a barista at Starbucks and you have a portfolio worth $100 than if you have a six-figure salary and a $500,000 portfolio. My hope is that my portfolio inspires people who are earlier on in their investing journey so they can see what's possible and within reach of normal people. I didn't hit it big on YouTube and then start investing. I didn't win the lottery or inherit the money. Heck, you can tell that my $1 million in my IRA shows that it was something I built over decades of investing, given the limits of how much you can put in an IRA each year. Please watch my video called How to Become a Millionaire if you want to learn how I became a self-made multimillionaire and how I honestly believe you can too. So the answer to the original Discord comment is that it's all a percentages game, and if someone's portfolio goes up or down, let's say $200, and let's also say that represents a 2% change in their portfolio, then that means they have a $10,000 portfolio because 2% of 10,000 is 200. Now if someone else had a $1 million portfolio, then that same 2% change would be a $20,000 change to their total portfolio value, which makes sense because a $1 million portfolio is 100 times as large as a $10,000 portfolio. Okay, with that out of the way, let's jump into my spreadsheet of my dividend portfolio. Please consider hitting the thumbs up button, subscribing if you haven't yet, and click that bell notification. Okay, here we are in my portfolio, and these are all the positions. You can see that everything is green because literally everything ended up green today. It was a nice up day. So let me zoom into it a little bit so you can see better. And there we go. So I'll just kind of go over these. Let me minimize the sector. Okay, so the pertinent fields will be basically the company, the quantity of shares I have, and then you can see the closing price, how much the stock changed today, the percentage change, and how much that changed in my portfolio. The market value of that position in my portfolio. So for example, Apple, I have 1,738 shares at $211,000, which generates $1,425 of passive income a year. It's 9.3% of my dividend portfolio. And then I've got some other stats we'll look into. So if we kind of go through this quickly, Microsoft, 786 shares, 182 grand. AT&T, 4,870 shares, 144 grand. Generates about $10,000 a year. Johnson JNJ, 899 shares, 140 grand position, generates 3,631. Altria, 2,829 shares, 127 grand market value, generates around $9,700 a year. Exxon Mobil, been doing nicely lately, 1,893 shares. Market value of 115 grand, and it generates about $6,500 a year. If we scroll down a bit, we have Philip Morris, 1,270 shares, which is about 109 grand position, and it generates a little over $6,000 a year. Pepsi, 768 shares, it's worth 102 grand, generates $3,300. 3M, 544 shares, about 98 grand worth, 3,200. Procter Gamble, 770 shares. It's at a market value of 97 grand, generating $2,433 a year. Duke, 1,077 shares, 95 grand position, and that's $4,157 a year. Scroll down a bit more, we see McDonald's 410 shares, 85 grand and $2,100. Coke 1,666 shares, 84 grand, and that's about 2.8 grand per year in income. Realty Income 1,299 shares, and that's about 78 grand, generating $3,655 a year. And Kimberly-Clark 558, 73 grand, $2,544 a year. Chevron 651 shares at about 71 grand, generating about $3,300 a year. And we come to AbbVie at 663 shares at a market value of $70,700, and it's generating around $3,400 a year. Morgan Chase 449 shares, 68 grand, generating $1,600. And we come to Southern Company, 1,119 shares, worth 65 grand, generating about 2,800. Colgate-Palmolive 667 shares, worth about 51 grand, generating $1,173. And Leggett Platt 974 shares, worth 46 grand, generating about 1,500. Caterpillar 207 shares, worth 45 grand, generating 850. 311 shares of Starbucks, 32 grand at around 559. And then we come to Home Depot, 95 shares, worth 24 grand, generating $627 a year. Travelers, 155 shares, worth 23 grand, generating $527 a year. And 501 shares of Pfizer, worth 17 grand, generating $781 a year. Total of 27,169 shares. Today it was a 2.15% portfolio change, which is worth about a little over 47 grand on paper. And the total portfolio value is a little over $2 million, and it generates around $81,000 of passive income a year. And then some of these other fields that I find useful, X date and pay date, and I kind of color code these so I can tell if it's color coded in turquoise, then I know it's within 7 days from today. So I can see that, for example, Southern Company will be paying out within the next 7 days. And then if it's in green, it means it's today. So today Starbucks paid out and Pfizer paid out. And then if it's highlighted in yellow, it means it's within a month. So it's just a way I can kind of quickly tell what's going to get paid out when for the X date and pay date. Then we have the dividend yield for all of these, and if we scroll down, we can see the portfolio's average weighted monthly yield is 3.58%. And we see the portfolio's 3-year dividend CAGR is 7.4%. And then if we scroll to the right some more, we have PE and some other metrics, beta, and then we come to like a little calendar, and it kind of shows you what's getting paid out when. And so it's saying in March, I'll have a new record paid out, a little over $8,000 in dividends. And we can see what, what's paying out when throughout the year. And then if we scroll back and we scroll down, and then we come down a little bit and we see I have these 2 rows, and it estimates how your passive income will grow if you drip it or if you don't drip it. So you can see right now I'm about $81,000, and just with the CAGR alone, you can see it'll grow from about 81 grand to 87 grand, and then 93 grand, and then within 3 years, it'll be that 6-figure mark, assuming the CAGR holds. And that's if I'm not dripping. If I am dripping, you see it kind of grows faster. So 80, 81, 90, 100, 111, and you can kind of scroll all the way to the right and see how it grows over time. So then I've got some fun metrics here, the yearly passive income that I mentioned, and then it estimates what that would be monthly, which is just dividing this by 12, daily, which is dividing this by 365, hourly, dividing that by 24, and then this 9 to 5 hourly wage, which I showed you in a video of how a dividend income is worth more than a wage income, which is why it's actually worth more when you convert it into a wage. And then some other stats on the market about the Dow futures, S&P 500 futures. And then down here we have some graphs. Let me go out a little bit more. So we see portfolio value by sector, and it kind of breaks things down Technology 17%, communication services 6.4%, healthcare 10%, Sin stocks 10%, energy 8%, consumer defensive 18%, industrial 6.4%, utility 7%, consumer cyclical 8.3%, real estate 3.4%, and financial 4%. And then here's the passive income by sector. So technology about 4%, communication services 12%, etc., etc. You can take a screenshot of this and dive into it if you want. And then we have the amount of passive income percentage by ticker, so it kind of gives that breakdown. So you can see J&J is about 4.5% of my 80 some odd grand. And again, you can take a screenshot if you want to dive into it. And then this is a little graph that shows the difference between if you're dripping versus not dripping and how it grows year over year and over time. Cool, hope you like that. Okay, so back to the original question which prompted this video. You see that on paper my portfolio went up about 47 grand today, which is a little over 2% of my about $2 million dividend portfolio. Though if my portfolio was 1/100th of the size, then the increase would have been 1/100th as much, assuming I had the same weightings of stocks. Okay, now I'd like to shout out a couple new Patreon aristocrats who have signed up since my last video. So thank you to Donnie, and thank you to Saturn. I really appreciate you guys supporting me and building my channel. And finally, I highly recommend that everyone out there join my free Dividend Discord chat server, which has thousands of dividend investors on it from around the world. Please consider hitting the thumbs up button, subscribing if you haven't yet, and click that bell notification. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you again real soon. I am not a financial advisor, and these videos are for entertainment, inspiration, and educational purposes only. Investing of any kind involves risk. I am only sharing my opinion with no guarantee of gains or losses on investments.